Jo, in Frankenland steht ein Bauernhaus, so hübsch und fein. Ja, in Frankenland steht ein Bauernhaus, so hübsch und fein.
We're here in Germany. Breakfast with Bob. Thank you, Rainer, for kicking it off. 12th annual Challenge Roth, and my guest, two-time Ironman world champion, four-time, could have been five-time Challenge Roth champion. 2 seconds, or you would have won 5 in a row. Chris McCormick.
It could have been.
Could have been.
2 seconds. Lothar Later, who's a legend here.
Yes,
Took
he
me
is.
out my first attempt at Roth.
Yeah.
And a classic race for me, a beautiful event. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so, and you've signed a 10-year deal. Mm-hmm. It's not often that an athlete at the age of 38, 39 has somebody saying, hey, we want to sign you for 10 years.
Well,
That's a pretty cool gig.
Well, I built a big part of my career in this town. I came here for the first time in 1997 when this event, the world record, was broken by Luke Van Leerd.
Yeah.
And I thought this is a race I have to do. I came here as a spectator, and then I signed up for my first attempt at Roth, only 2 years into my Ironman career, and finished a close second to Lothar Later. And for that point on, I said, this is one race I'm going to do every year. It's just the epitome of the sport in Europe. It's the birthplace of the sport in Europe. And I had such success here and made such great friends here. I really grew up with the brand, and they sort of warmed to what I brought to the race. And 10 years. A 10-year commitment to help grow Challenge globally is I'm ecstatic to be part of it.
Well, what's cool is that it really shows how the sport has changed, that you're an athlete, but also you're a marketer. You're a social media guy. You bring more to the table than just the fact that you're pretty damn fast.
Yeah, I think I just grew up doing that in the sport. I think I really connected with the social media because I felt that I had an avenue where I could actually communicate who I was, because I thought in the press sometimes I was misconstrued or misunderstood.
Come on.
Well,
what do you think they were there saying you were cocky, arrogant?
All
Come on,
those
no.
things.
Yeah.
All those things. But I think the social media allowed me to get my message across and control that message, and I warmed to that, and it's grown. Facebook and Twitter and all these things have sort of grown up in the last few years, and sort of how you intertwine that into triathlon has been good for me.
So this weekend, you're doing what?
I'm hanging with. I thought I was working with you.
You are, yeah. We're doing this. No,
No.
but in terms of race day, are you
I'm coming
relay?
I'm doing a relay. I've got two teams here that are racing under my Macca X community, so they're racing in a relay. I'm doing the swim, and then I'm going to be at the finish line with Felix, and we greet everyone across the line. So it's a pretty unique race. I'm going to watch the event because it's one race I want to see how the fast guys are going, fast guys and
Well,
girls.
let's talk a little bit about the fast guys. You got Timo Brock, who's the local boy, James Kudama, who's your defending champion, and Dylan McNeese and Cam Brown, New Zealand.
Dirk Bockel.
Dirk Bockel, we don't want to forget him, and Mikey Petzold.
Mikey Petzold making his... Mikey went to, 2 or 3 Olympics for Germany.
Yeah.
Very, very talented athlete, one of Germany's best short course guys. He's making his debut, and he picked Roth because in the same sense that I had, he grew up watching this race as a boy, so I was quite interested to when I spoke to him, so why Roth? He's like, I've always wanted to do this race. If I was going to go long, I'd come here, and I think I can be very, very successful on this course. So I'm keen to see how Mikey goes. I think Dirk's going to be very, very strong. He's been training here for the last few weeks. James Kuhnemer delivers a good run. Timo Brock, you can't go past. He's raced here before. He's been successful here before. And it's always a unique race because it's so fast. So unlike a lot of the events you do in the States, this event is aggressive on the bike. These guys are riding, 30 miles an hour for big periods of it. So the blow-up rate on that run is brutal. So we'll see how people nurse themselves through the run, and if they can deliver a fast one, this course is very, very fast.
What's always interesting to me is when people go to a fast course, like in running, they go to Carlsbad 5000, they just figure it's flat as a pancake. Right? They go to a course like that, and they just go, it's fast. Well, a lot of reasons it's fast because people want to go there to go fast, and it's not so much a course, it's a competition. How much of it here is the competition rather than the course itself?
100%. A big part is going to be the competition. The course does play favoritism to the biker who wants to be aggressive, which has always suited the German mindset, aggressive bike riding. You've got steep climbs with long descents. You've got beautiful roads, and when you add competition to the equation, you're always seeing these sub-8 performances here, and a world record performance by Andreas Raelert a few years ago. I think this year, with Dirk Bockel here and that fast chasing group, it could be very, very fast again, and sub-8 is well and truly possible.
So when you look back at your career racing here, winning 4 times in a row, Was there one that was more satisfying than the other, or one that was a little more challenging?
I think that my first win here was, without question, the most satisfying. I just missed out the year before with Lothar. They brought me back for the showdown. At that time, Lothar was the king of Roth.
No question.
He'd won 4 or 5 titles.
And he was the first Ironman to go under 8 hours.
Exactly, and he did it here on this course.
Yeah.
So he was the king, and I was very, very close friends with Lothar. So, to win Roth, to come into the stadium here, it's unlike any stadium I've ever done. There's hundreds of thousands of people.
I was going to ask you about that. Are the crowds, in terms of an Ironman distance race, are they bigger than anywhere else?
Not only are they bigger, they're so close to you. A lot of the Ironman courses around the world, they keep the people back with barriers. Here, the people are right on top of you. So very much like the Tour de France, they're peeling out of the way as you're running at them. And there's a section on the run course through they call it the beer mile.
Yeah.
Which is just a mile of beer tents. And it gets rowdier and rowdier as the race goes on, as people drink more and more beer. But there was my first year here, I did not know, I could not see where the course was. I was like, where am I going? I was just running at people, and they just peeled out the way. The spectators here, not only are they huge, are they in your face, but they're also informed. They grew up with this race as well. So they're yelling your name, they know a little bit about you, and it's just a very, very unique race. So I think that also adds to the reason why people move so fast here.
And is it disconcerting? Because when we watch a Tour de France, it's hard to watch a Tour de France without going, get these people out of the way. Someone's going to get knocked off their bike. When you're climbing and the people, there's no path, and then they just peel away, can it be disconcerting?
Yeah, it's actually, because we don't get to experience that. So we've watched the Tour de France, and you think, oh, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. And I tell a funny story to a lot of people who do this race the first time. My first year here, I was riding with Lothar later, and we came up this first hill, and there was thousands of people. I was like, wow, that's the most amazing spectators I've ever seen. This wasn't even the Solara Berg. And he said, look, Chris, in about a mile's time, we're going to come around a corner. Just be patient, mate. Just be careful, relax, don't get ahead of yourself. It's about 2 kilometres, and you can blow your race here. And I didn't quite understand what he meant. And we came
thought maybe
around,
he's playing a little psych.
Yeah, we came around this corner, and there was 100,000 people standing on this hill, and the energy was amazing, and the experience of Lothar, he sat back and watched me. I thought I was controlling myself. You dance up this hill, people are yelling and running alongside you. I felt magic until about 10 kilometres after that hill, where I'd blown the legs. But it's an energy like nothing else, and you just go with it. You love it. It's very, very special.
So this year, is this an Ironman Kona year for you?
Yeah, we're going to look at it. I've ticked the box, and
so you've got your qualification.
I've done that. I did that a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
so that's ticked and done. And it's 14 weeks now until 14 weeks this weekend until Kona. So
Not that you're counting.
Not that I never count. So we'll have a look at it. I'm going to do Challenge Penticton, which is the old Ironman.
Oh, so you'll do the full one there?
I'll do the full one there. So I've been looking a lot at what Peter Reid used to do in his prep when he'd double up with Canada and Hawaii.
Because that's closer than you normally would do.
It's the first time I would ever have done that. So really, I've emailed Peter a couple of times how he went about that preparation, how he used that, and it'll be interesting to see. I'll make my assumption or my assessment on Kona after Canada, but that race gets into your blood. It's hard to walk away from.
I know you're a guy who studies what's happening on the internet, who's doing what, who's looking good. When you're looking towards Kona this year, who do you look at as maybe somebody we don't know that much about? Or is there anybody that we don't know much about?
I think that the marquee athlete this year has been Eneko Lanos.
What he did Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, he dominated Melbourne. He's won the big events for the year, so he's seemed to have found his rhythm this year. Everyone questioned his ability to run really fast, but I think he's running strong and quick. He's running those low 240 times, which is what you need to win Kona with. He delivers good swims and bikes, and he's good in the heat. He's had a podium finish there before, so I think he could be strong. I think you can never go past Crowe.
Right.
He knows how to get that right, and he's back in Boulder doing his thing. He's been very soft on the racing circuit, so he hasn't showed his hand, which I think is a smart thing for him. I was hoping to see more of Ivan Rana. He was supposed to be in Frankfurt, but I haven't seen him, and don't know if he's going. Bevan Doherty will be interesting. There's so many guys. I think Andy Potts, we always talk about Andy.
Yeah, and actually I just did some interviews with Andy and said, one thing Tim DeBoom said about you, Andy, is you're not going to win Kona spending 5 hours on your trainer in the basement.
Yeah.
You got to get out there. And he goes, Kona's a focus for me this year.
Yeah, which is good. I think that the race is getting so much depth, and we say it every year. We sort of put 15, 20 athletes on the table and go, who's going to win this race?
Right.
But it's becoming harder to do that because guys have to race a lot more. Guys that don't have to do that because they've got the points from the year before can hide a little bit more, so you don't get to see their form in the season. So as a guy like me who like to study a lot of these athletes, that's becoming more and more difficult to do.
It's hard, right? They're not out there.
Yeah.
So when you come here and, like you said, you've raced Lothar Leader, you had classic races with him. Norman Stadler's not racing, but he's here.
Yes.
Jürgen Zach is here. Some of the legends.
Farris, we used to race
Ferris,
here.
yeah. But when you look at Norman, who you've had a checkered past with,
Yes.
what's the relationship with him like now?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, Norman and I think we resolved our issues the day after the 2007 Ironman Hawaii. We, I just think it was, it's at the height of your career, both our careers. You're fighting for a single spot on a podium that you've been chasing since you were both boys. He'd won that title, I hadn't, and it just got tense, and I think we both respect that. We
Right.
both appreciate we're both competitive individuals, and we can reflect a little bit more now and go, man, it was a great time, and I enjoyed racing him. He's a very, very, very strong guy to race. When he was on, he was one of the best I'd ever seen.
The interesting thing to me is with your rivalries with a Norman and with Crowe, and it seems a lot of times what mellows that out is being a dad.
Yeah.
Having that to share with both Norman and with Crowe that, we're battling, but at the end of the day, what's more important than going home to your kids?
Well, when you're young, it's all consuming. It's all you know. It's all you think is important in your life. It's all you want to achieve, and then you start to tap away at results and races, and you move your way up to the top of that pyramid, I guess, of athletes, and it can be all consuming. It can be, you're fighting with each other, and
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a small pie.
Yeah, but then kids come into the equation. Then you get married, and you sort of sit back, and suddenly your life is not swim, bike, and run all the time.
And it's not just you.
And it's not just you. And you think, man, do we really need to? Is it really that important?
Really. Yeah.
And you realise you can still remain competitive and be a winner with a different mindset. But I think it takes family sometimes to allow you to view things a little bit differently. Yeah. And, I think both Crowe and myself have been at our most successful since we've had children.
I was going to say, is it hard to, when you're not having good races, going, God, I was so much better when I was just so self-absorbed.
Yeah, sometimes you think that. I tell a story last year in Kona. I DNF'd. I hadn't had a great race, and it's perfect how kids can give you perspective sometimes. I was sitting in the house back after the race. My daughters are playing, and I'm sitting there, and they could tell that Dad's mind was somewhere else. I was bummed, and my oldest daughter sat next to me and said, Dad, what's wrong? I said, oh, look, Dad didn't race as well as he wanted to today, and but don't worry, you girls go and do your thing. And she said, Dad, as long as your today best is better, your today best is what'd she say? As long as your tomorrow best is better than your today best, then what are you worried about? And I said, what do you mean by that? She said, Dad, you've always told me just to try and be better tomorrow than you were today, and that's all you got to do. So just tomorrow, try and be better than you were today, and there's nothing to worry about. I thought, far out.
You got a philosopher.
Yeah, I was like, where'd you learn that? Yeah, I was
say.
like, far out, Talia. And it really gave me perspective. I was like, you know what? She's right. What does it matter? Let's play. So we went down the beach and, far out, it's over. Deal with it. We'll be better tomorrow. And the old me would have been pacing the house.
Looking at your training logs.
And sometimes you
where
think,
can I race next?
Where can I race next? Who can I bash up? Who can I... But, it just gave me a different perspective. And sometimes you feel like you're getting this message across to your kids. And I was really proud at that moment that I had got this message about being the best you can be and to my daughter, and she was able to reflect that to me at a time that I needed to hear it.
So how long do you want to stay at the, sort of as we've called it before, the pointy end of the stick and race at the elite level?
I'd like to stay there as long as I can, but the guys just keep coming. They're getting faster.
All these Olympians.
All the Olympians are coming.
You get all these guys coming in.
Yeah, and I keep saying to a lot of the young guys, I want to stay here until the Gomez's and the Brownlees come across because they'll be real game changers. They'll be real game changers. But as long as I can be competitive and continue to enjoy some of the big races that I've never done. That's half the reason I'm doing Penticton. It has such a rich history, a race that Peter Reid was so dominant at, and I want to go there and compete there because I've never been there. And there's a lot of events around the world that I'd like to compete at as a professional, as an elite, and try and win them, just tap them up on my resume just because they meant so much to me as within this sport growing up.
So during your time where you tried to make the Australian Olympic team and basically went from long to short distance, which is ridiculous, very difficult to do, you got a chance to be up close and personal with Alistair Brownlee, Johnny Brownlee, Javier Gomez. Now that you're involved with Challenge Roth, and it is very difficult. If you want to do Ironman in Hawaii,
Yes.
you've got to go through a process where to get a Brownlee or a Gomez to sort of try something out here or at one of these other races. Are you starting to talk to those guys about maybe dipping their toe in the water a little bit?
Well, they're definitely interested in Ironman. They follow it. They know the winners,
I know.
they know the guys,
Absolutely.
and they're interested. They're looking at Rio, both Javier and the Brownlees. And they're still so young. Javier's late 20s.
Yes. Yeah, those guys are 23.
Yeah, Brownlees are 23. Like, I'm saying, hey, stay over there.
long as you-
For personal reasons as well, stay over there as long as you can.
Exactly.
But when they move across, they are definitely coming. They appreciate triathlon as much as for all its distances, like I did, and they've been very, very successful at the ITU draft legal stuff. They'll be very, very successful at the non-drafting stuff, and they'll be very successful at the 70.3 and the Ironman distance because they're just great athletes,
Right.
And they'll put it together and learn.
Love it. Macca, thank you so much.
Always-
Appreciate you coming
always
by.
great.
We're
Always.
going to bring Rainer in here to take us out.
So schön, ein Musiker zu sein. Wir frohen Lieden ziehen wir durch die ganze Welt. Ein Musiker zu sein. Wir frohen Lieden ziehen wir die Welt.
That was Rainer bringing it home. Rainer, thank you so much. Our guest has been Mr. Chris McCormick, Macca, who will be doing a relay. 2.4 miles a long swim. Do you realize that?
Without a wetsuit. I forgot my wetsuit, so
I've got a wetsuit. It might be a little big on you, but you
Looking forward
forgot
to it.
your wetsuit?
forgot my wetsuit.
I think you could probably find one somewhere around here.
Yeah. Oh, I think I should punish myself by not having one.
I think you should do that as well.
Exactly.
Again, Breakfast with Bob. It'll be up on triathlete.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and catch you a little bit later.